Alright, so for today I'm going to be using the shock tower, and this is going to be my loadout that I'm going to be running. So I'm running shock Specialist A.C in the lead. He basically more than triples my damage output for shock tower, and we are running Happy Holidays to of course make it so we can spam shock tower more often. We are running Fragment Deadeye. Someone might have to quote me on this, but I think because of how long shock tower lasts for, he does add around 40% more damage or so over time because of the affliction. But other than that, if it's like around 30 to 40% more damage, still very good perk to run. I am also running Mayhem in support, and I want to talk a bit about Mayhem. For one, she's actually a very good hero to run in support, because something that shock tower does struggle with is high health single target tanky enemies, and being able to run a perk that helps out against those tanky enemies is very good. But also another thing too is that if we take a look at AC, he's buffing our shock tower's overall damage by more than triple the amount, and because the beam from Mayhem counts as a shock tower attack, he's also going to be able to buff that beam as well that Mayhem applies to our shock tower. So if we go take a look at Mayhem, if you run her in lead, her perk only gives the beam technically around 2.5 times more damage. So you actually get more value from running AC in the lead than Mayhem. So keep that in mind. The rest of the loadout's pretty straightforward. Running Gumshoe. In support, she basically just gives all Fragment abilities a flat 30% damage buff, which is very nice. We're also running Battle Beat Wildcat. You can use main stage Gwen instead if you're playing a mission that doesn't have that many enemies. But basically, yeah, Rock and Rift is pretty broken. Basically 50% more damage for my shock tower, and then that's going to be 50% more damage for any weapon you decide to use in combination with shock tower. So very strong perk. And for my last perk, I'm going to be running Fragment Flurry Chess. And I've been kind of debating on running this hero or Azalea Clark instead. And I think I decided to settle on with running Chess instead of Clark because I'm going to be using my shock tower to help with leaks. So I'm going to be using my straps. Of course, they're going to do their things, kill everything. If something leaks, I drop a shock tower down, and I'm basically going to be using it sparingly. So when something leaks, I'll use it. If something doesn't leak, I'll save it. And with how charged fragments work, you actually do get more value over time by using your shock tower for leaks with Chess in support than with Clark. Because with Clark, she only buffs your shock tower by around 15.5%, but with Fragment for a Chess, because you're getting all of those charged fragments, she's going to be buffing your shock tower damage by around 20%, extending the duration of it by 20%. And of course, you know, reduce the cooldown by 20%. That's what charged fragments do for both shock tower and Teddy. That's why they're really important. So because I'm using my shock tower very sparingly, I decided to run Chess instead of Clark. So pretty simple as to why I'm running Chess instead of Clark. But yeah, that's pretty much my loadout. That's the entire sort of plan that I want to run with this loadout, and let's hop straight into a game to try this loadout out. Alright, so basically this is the build I have. Got some cannon straps, some speakers, some ice floors, some ceiling fields, and yeah, basically these are the perks I'm running for my broadsides. Double reload for consistent damage. Running a kind of a unique copy for my sound wall, because I'm using these perks for my freeze floor. Just maxed out double reload, and then I'm using double reload for my sound walls, but they have the reload unupgraded, so they're going to be alternating, and that's a very good combo too, especially with ceiling fields. So going to be of course applying like your ice constantly and your dancing constantly, so when they get unfrozen they'll probably be dancing, so you know. And then basically on the roof I got some defenders. Kind of like the Obliterator, you know, bundle bust combo. Very nice, because you have a defender that picks off weaks, and then a defender that specifically only picks off enemies from the air, which is really nice for, of course, swingers. And these are, of course, the perks that I'm running on both of those weapons. Just a crit build for the bundle bust, And then it's also just another crit build for the Obliterator, if you are wondering. And as you can see right here, I got some leaks coming from this small shrap tunnel. Basically, if they leak, I got, of course, Shock Tower, you know, picked them off, of course. And in case someone's curious, these are, of course, the weapons I'm using. Fender Tech Seeker with, of course, those perks. And I'm using the Pummeler. This is, of course, going to be my weapon for Chrome Huskies. This weapon has very high impact, so you can just launch them off the map. I showed off that weapon in my Chrome Husky video. And I also have that video linked in the description of this one, so if you want to check that out to, you know, get knowledge about how Chrome Huskies work and how to counter them, you can always check out that video whenever. And of course I have like a weird bridge, just of course going to edge the map. Just try to aggro those Chrome Huskies, launch them off the map. This is probably the downside though about having defenders on your roof. You just get the Chrome Huskies that just aggro on them. And then yeah, you have to like put in lots of effort to re-aggro them, which is a little annoying. Probably, I guess, another reason why not to use defenders with Obliterators, because of the aggro mechanics with that. Because it just makes it harder to lure them off the edge of the map, but I mean, it's not really a big deal. If I actually used like a good copy of my Obliterator, then wouldn't really have that problem, but it's not really a big deal. But yeah, you can see right here, like a couple of weeks there, and pretty much they're all dead, if not close to dead. Pretty much, it also shreds nurses too, which is really good. And also, of course, you know, shreds the regular Huskies. Takes a bit of time, but, you know, they do slowly but surely die. Another sneaky thing that you could do with your Shock Tower too is that if you have problems with flingers, you can just drop a Shock Tower on the roof and it should zap basically anything that basically just lands on your roof, which could be pretty helpful if you do have to micromanage like lots of different flingers. Something I also do like about Shock Tower is depending on how you have your exits set up with your shrap tunnels, you can actually have your Shock Tower attack like multiple different lanes, which is really nice because, you know, that's like basically a little choke point right there between those two little tar pits. So if something does ever leak, you know, you could just drop, of course, a Shock Tower and it covers both lanes, which is always really nice. And now we got some flingers, of course, right here. Basically one-shotted, and I guess just to punish them, you know, drop a Shock Tower there, just in case. Shock Tower is also pretty good for flingers too, because it could just basically stun them, cancel them from throwing, which is really nice. And it's of course going to be able to deal with groups of lobbers too, because they're just going to get shredded down because of how low their health is. So, very good for dealing with lobbers and flingers, if you're able to get up to them very quickly. Another nice thing with Shock Tower 2 is that if something like one of your straps gets destroyed, for some reason, you know, you could just drop it down, and that buys you lots of time to either craft, or just replace the strap entirely. Honestly, this ability is just so good when it comes to like strapping in general. It just buys you so much more time to, of course, repair, fix anything, deal with leaks. And of course it does support your straps by quite a lot. And here we have a group of flingers, and yeah, they're pretty much just all dead, like just because of the shock tower. Now the boss is spawned in, and basically the boss is a regular husk mini boss, and if you don't know, regular husk mini bosses are classified as player hunters for some reason, unlike the other two. So you could just basically like run around and they'll basically just try to chase you down and kill you, and they don't really ever go after structures ever. They just try to kill you, your teammates, and your defenders, and anything else like that. So you can basically just lure these guys to edge the map, same goes with all of those scrum huskies, and just drop them off the map. But yeah, kinda a little annoying to lure him around. My obliterator defender is trying to draw aggro to him and destroy some of my buildings, which is kinda annoying, but not really a big deal. Just gotta shoot him a few times and you're basically good to go. And this guy could just get off the map real quick. We also have some smashers. Couple of problems with the smashers, kind of destroyed a few walls, but you know, I have so many charge fragments for my shock tower, like I could just spam drop them like all in this one tunnel. And that's the good thing about playing, you know, very sparingly with fragment flourishes, because I didn't really use my shock tower at all. That means I could just spam like my shock tower just only in this trap tunnel. And it basically has around an 8 to 9 second cooldown, so I think that's like around a 50% uptime or so. So yeah, that's pretty good considering the fact that I could pretty much just stun everything in place, which is really, really nice. A nice thing too with shock tower is because I'm running Mayhem in support, if something tanky like a blaster of course does decide to leak from my trap tunnel, the laser beam just absolutely shreds him down. Like just not even giving him a chance at all. And even this one too, this one also just gets shredded down very easily. And just like that, that's pretty much the end of the mission. This trap town got kind of obliterated, mostly because of, you know, sound wall got destroyed there, which kind of sucks. And some smashers too. But everything else kind of survived pretty well, I would say. And yeah, that was pretty much the shock tower. Very, very fun, and honestly overpowered ability when it comes to traps, personally. But I will definitely take that 17,000 combat score. It's not like it matters, but you know, it's always nice to see that combat score get as high as possible. But yeah, fun loadout, definitely worth checking out if you do have the heroes, and yeah. If you enjoyed this video, maybe think about liking and subscribing, it helps out the channel a lot. If you have any sort of feedback or ideas for any sort of loadouts or trap builds in the future, make sure to leave a comment, and also share this video with anyone that likes Save the World. You know, there's probably bound to be one person out there still. But yeah, other than that, hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day, and I guess I will see you in the next one.